Hello everybody, welcome to Reverse Homesteading. I thought I would show you a slight issue with the worm farm. I guess it's a design thing, perhaps they just made everything the same. I thought some of the trays were a different size and apparently they're not, so that's potentially a problem, but only for the sake of each time you feed the worms. So the way I set it up, somebody might have noticed if they're a bit more of an expert than me. I put the worm, the coir peat from the coconut and the newspaper and the worms in the top, that's their bedding. The next one down I put the food in there because I was swapping the trays around and I thought, oh yeah, that's the way it goes. Then I did a bunch of research about worms and how to feed them and which way around the trays go, and almost everybody puts the food in the top tray, the worms and their bedding go in the bottom tray, and this just catches the worm castings or the vermicompost in the bottom, which is worm poo, and the water, which is what comes out the bottom. Apparently it's not worm wee, which I thought it was because most people tell you that. It's actually water that's also filtered through, excess water that's filtered through the vegetables that are decomposing in there, so it actually has a lot of harmful bacteria and pathogens in there. So you actually have to wash your hands quite well after you touch what's down the bottom there, or any other part of the worm farm, I guess. And just to be careful, if you're not weirded out by that, that's all cool. But anyway, the issue I thought I had was that I was supposed to have the worms here and the food up here, because you just pull the lid off, take the worm blanket off, or the cardboard, whatever you've got there, to keep the temperature as a good solid temperature, up or down. And yeah, that's not the way it is. The only way you can do this with the amount of coir peat they give you is to put the worms here, sadly. So I suppose it doesn't matter which tray you use, you need less coir peat, but I didn't want to take out some of the coir peat because I think it probably needs that much to insulate the worms, because I thought they might get too hot if I took away some of their bedding that they live in. So that's the issue. So the instructions didn't tell you not to use all of the coir peat, because if I swap the trays around, I would be squashing the worms in their bedding, and I don't want to do that unless I take some of the bedding out. And I also don't want to do that because I don't think it would be good. I think the worms would heat up too much in their bedding. So there you go. I am just going to have to take this off, feed them in there every time, and then put this back on again. So I've been taking the wet towel, putting it on the ground, because the worms go up and down all the time. So put the towel on the ground, put this on the ground with the worms and their bedding in it. Then you can get to the feeding tray. So yeah, it's a bit of a hassle. In the winter I may try reducing the amount of coir peat in their bedding. That's the only solution to be able to get the feeding tray up the top. Otherwise you would be squashing the worms and that would be sad. So yes, less coir peat if you're starting from the start. You might want to go with less and check it out before you put the worms in. But especially in summer I would be very wary of putting less coir peat in there, because I think the worms will get too hot. Anywho, I'll just have to take the top tray off every time I feed them. There you go, problem solving on the run. Thanks for watching, hope it was helpful. See you next time.